From KSMQ Television in Austin, this is On Cue, connecting interesting issues and interesting people. On Cue.
And welcome back. Mankato is experiencing a surge in job growth, and Forbes magazine recently ranked Greater Mankato third in the nation for best small places for business and careers. Yeah. Here to tell us more is Jonathan Zierdt, President and CEO of Greater Mankato Growth. Welcome.
Thank you.
And there's an add-on to that statistic about jobs that you've just learned.
Yeah, there is. You know, we just learned last week, based on our own research, that we are in the top 5% nationally for job growth. Top 5%.
And why is that? Tell folks that might not be familiar.
Well, in the last 4 years, really, every month we monitor our job growth, and what we've been seeing is record increases over the last year. Every month we've set new all-time highs in our job growth.
Certain industry-based, or
well, what happens is people are always looking for a definitive industry, and this is part of the secret of the Greater Mankato marketplace. It's an incredibly diverse economy. So whenever we have these surges in job growth or consistent gains, it's very difficult for us to pinpoint it on a particular industry or even an industry sector. In fact, the last month when we had our job growth, every single sector, private, public, manufacturing, private business services, retail, everybody saw an uptick in their employment. So it's constantly a balanced portfolio our economy is, and that's what gives us this consistent growth.
Wow, it's not one big manufacturer coming in and creating 100 jobs.
Not at all. The largest employer we have in the community is roughly around 3,000, and that's an aggregated number.
State?
Well, Mankato State would be, Minnesota State University Mankato would be more about 1,700, but the Mayo Clinic Health System in the community itself has about 2,500 employees, and the entire footprint for the Mayo Clinic Health System that comes out of Mankato is about 3,500. Taylor corporations, when you aggregate Taylor corporations, are also in that 3,000 range.
Yeah,
there's also that one. But manufacturing represents 18% of the economy, healthcare 18%, education 14%. It's a very diversified economy and not dependent on a single sector or even a single business in those sectors.
MSU Mankato, spending time there, I didn't know that it's the second largest state education facility in the state.
Yes, it is. It only trails the University of Minnesota, and there's a big gap between the University of Minnesota and Minnesota State Mankato.
Right.
But it's
UMD and other schools, they're bigger than that. They have a lot to offer there.
Yep. 16,000+, trending towards 20. You know, it's added, it's expanded its offerings. Long time it's been in graduate work through masters, etc., but now has PhD, doctorate work as well.
Your downtown has wonderful growth happening.
Yes. New
buildings, the center, obviously, Verizon, you know, all that stuff. And then there's like a lot of old character type buildings, like the next block.
Right.
For somebody who's not as involved as you are in the community, that's just what it looked like to me. New, wow. And then how do you maintain the balance of both of those? Because that's I would imagine that's a big challenge.
Well, and it's more than even just the balance of those 8, 10, 12 blocks that you're thinking of, Eric. It's also as the community expands out into the hilltop areas and even into our surrounding communities. How do we keep the balance across that entire regional marketplace really thriving? And so it's really that mixture of all those pieces. And what we've seen happen again is over the last 3 years, we've seen $500 million in private business investment and expansions happen in our regional marketplace. The bulk of that happening in the core city of Mankato and North Mankato, but we're $500 million, $500 million in private sector investment. Some of that you're recognizing, the buildings that are going vertical in what we call the city center, the downtown. There's a renaissance taking place in our downtown or our city center. And so we have a 7-story office building that'll soon open, a 5-story one that's going up, another 5-story one with residential living on the top couple levels. That's all coming from private sector development that sees an opportunity in the Greater Mankato marketplace.
So does it just continue on and on, block to block? That's the thing, because there's character there, VFW.
Right, and you don't want to lose that.
You don't want to lose
Right.
it. Okay.
Right. You don't want to lose that. So we have names for these parts of the cities, right? Like the Old Town or the North Riverfront Drive, and there's some wonderful, charming niche retailers and small businesses that are there and very specialized activities. And you want to do what you can to foster those and create their own unique neighborhood and environment. So we're focused on that. We have an entire energy devoted into our city center in engaging the stakeholders, the businesses, the folks that live in the city center around activities and investment that happen just to keep the core center of the regional marketplace as vibrant as the rest of the marketplace. All of that has to stay equally vibrant.
When you talk to business leaders and folks in our area, in the Rochester and a little farther south than Mankato, their first blush about Mankato is, well, it's a big retail center for folks, for agriculture, rural folks coming in to shop, retail. Is that what drives the economy?
I would tell you that what drives the economy are things that we call primary economy. So manufacturing, largest single sector of the economy, 18%. Healthcare, 18%. Very regional, lots of people coming in for healthcare in there. The other one you mentioned that it's difficult to get our hands around from a data standpoint because the state nor the federal government measure this the same way, is agriculture. Estimates on the size of agriculture and its dominance in the marketplace easily put that 20, 30, even 40% of the market is influenced by. A car dealer sells more cars because of a robust agricultural marketplace. We have manufacturers that manufacture goods that go into agricultural products. We have professional service firms that specialize in financial or legal activities related to agriculture. R&D and technology businesses that are there specializing in agriculture.
Well, so then that might be why you want to start another organization or a focus group to help us quantify that ag.
That's right. That's exactly right, Eric. We launched something that we call Project ABE. It's a code name, means Ag Business Epicenter. The idea behind that is think Napa Valley, think Silicon Valley, think Research Triangle. These are large geographic territories in the country that have a cluster of activity and a predominance located, and they're maximizing that opportunity. We have that in agriculture, and it's far beyond Mankato. As we sit here today in Austin, we have a marquee element related to that, from food, right? Food production that's important.
Who's that?
But also Hormel
sorry,
and the Hormel Institute is doing groundbreaking research on food related to medical activity.
And doubling the size of their facility.
Absolutely. And what's happening there is happening across the south central and southwest part of Minnesota. And that's really our Research Triangle or Silicon Valley. When we talk about the Ag Business Epicenter, there's a really strong concentration, an urban piece of it that stems out of Mankato, but it extends across these 20, 30 counties.
So that's what you're going to bring together?
Yes, so that's what we're
ABE?
working on, with Project ABE, is really bringing all of those folks together to work more collectively in packaging and then building on our agricultural business opportunities that we have.
Packaging, you mean marketing yourself as a one-stop for ag or
marketing
something?
the region as a destination for ag business activity. So if you were going to do something in technology today, people would go to Silicon Valley, wouldn't they? That's where they would go to be connected to technology, business, development, and industry. So our position is that if you want to do something in ag, if you want to be part of where ag is going and where it can go, you're going to be located in this agricultural business epicenter that's south central Minnesota. The biggest urban center of that is in the greater Mankato MSA, but it's really a much larger territory.
So what John Deere, when they want to build something new, they would somehow
they could
interact with Mankato or something.
Or the bigger region. We don't have any delusions that John Deere is going to put its corporate headquarters here in southern Minnesota.
But that startup little high-tech company might be there in Mankato.
Yep, you're spot on, Eric, spot on.
So it's a marketing, but will there be capital there, you hope, for incubation of businesses?
Yeah.
Where are you at in that process?
Well, there's a couple things. We have 4 focus areas that we call them action teams. One on promotion, how we package. The second on public policy matters that affect ag and ag business development. The third on talent or education. How do we develop future workforce in those industries? And again, it's more than just crops and cattle. It's manufacturing related to ag and technology. And then finally, the key, business development. How do we grow the economy? We're not going to add more farmland. We can have greater production, but there's also lots of other businesses, as you mentioned, like a John Deere or others. And we've just recently, this week, announced the hiring of our director for Project Dave, an individual who comes with great credibility out of the ag industry. And so we're bringing him on board starting April 1st.
Hey, wonderful.
Yeah.
So for people to engage, this is a Greater Mankato Growth. This is,
It is.
an offshoot of your organization.
Yes, yep.
And is it something that other business people can join you in somehow or connect?
Yes, we are seeking that now. We're creating the list of folks that want to participate on these 4 committees that I talked about. We're also working on relationships with partner organizations like ours across the regional marketplace, from Waseca to Faribault to Owatonna to Austin, going west to New Ulm. We're having some of those conversations with how do those chambers of commerce or economic development groups tie into this, because this benefits all of us. We're seeding the project, putting the money in, getting it started. We're using that from our resources as an organization. We don't know where that will go, but we want to get that started.
So, and you won't be the one going to all those trade shows in
It's not gonna
southern
be me.
Texas, sitting there in your booth promoting promoting Minnesota.
But I hope we do have some of those kinds of presences around the country, and people will start to see this as the destination.
Well, this has been a fascinating discussion, Jonathan. Please don't be a stranger
I hope you'll invite me back again.
to On Cue.
Yeah.
Jonathan Zierdt, President and CEO of Greater Mankato Growth, talking about the Agriculture Business Epicenter. Website is?
GreaterMankato.com, if you go there.
Okay, greatermankato.com.
Yep.
Check it out.